Hi, and welcome again. This is Dr. Gia Season, your host for Makati Med's monthly health podcast. And today, I mentioned earlier, we have a very special guest doctor this month, Makati Med Mood Disorder Specialist, Dr. Charm Bernardo. Hi, Dr. Charm.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
So happy to see you. And how are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Yan yung mga common questions natin, di ba?
Yes.
And that's a very powerful question, by the
Yeah.
way, di ba, Doctora?
And it's when during my practice, it's actually a very hard question to answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes mapapapause ka pa, Doktora,
Yes.
di ba?
Yeah.
Okay, to get to the bulk of our discussion today, I'm sure most people have noticed kung gaano ka-open ang conversation about mental health these days. From Facebook to TikTok, you'll probably encounter several content talking about mental health conditions. Plus, yung mga terms na triggers, boundaries, ayan, red flags, gaslighting, and many more. Therapy speak, ika nga, or the act of casually using words na before ginagamit lang within therapy sessions. So let's get to the first question. What do you think about this, Dr. Charm? Would you say na this openness is totally a good thing or meron din ito mga pitfalls?
Yeah, there are caveats to it.
Mhm.
The stigma is still there, but I'm happy to report that the stigma is lessening. Before kasi, during, in the 90s or even in the
Yes.
80s, usually the competition of psychiatrists is not other psychiatrists also. It's actually the faith healers and
Yes.
and it's before the relatives would send the patient there first, before it got, but now they're more open. So immediately it's the psychiatrist. I'm happy about that. Still a little bit more work to be done, but it's already starting. So I'm glad. Now, with regards to this, of course, there would be certain things that will come out.
Yes.
Then we hear it in social media. I see it when I go to the internet. I'm bipolar.
Yes.
I'm depressed, or
Yes.
something like that. She's narcissistic.
Yes.
Yes. So those kinds of things. But if you ask them, do you really know what you're saying? Do you know what you mean when you say that you're bipolar? Another thing that's actually, and it's good that I have this venue, they would say, I'm in my antisocial mood. But for us, if you're talking a psychiatrist, antisocial is actually a very different term. When we say antisocial, these are like the con men, those that would, it's like, it's very popular, the word na yung ano sila, yung when they are conned, yung na-cheat na pala sila, hindi pa nila alam.
Oh.
Yeah, that term. I'm blanking on the Filipino term for it, but usually it's like that. They're the conments. They have no remorse. They have no, they don't have a conscience. That's the thing. But for lay people, their connotation of antisocial is I withdraw. I don't want to be with my friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's different.
It's so different. Yeah.
Oh.
So when you say antisocial to a psychiatrist, the antisocial definition that will come to my mind is a con man.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are yung they would cheat you. You know that they are already
Mga budol.
nabudol. Yes.
Nabudol.
Nabubudol.
Yun.
Yon. But for lay, and for them, antisocial is not associating with others, being by themselves, withdrawing from people.
Right.
Yeah. So that is very different. Yeah. So I thank you for this opportunity so that I could clear it, because that is the thing. It's
Yes.
so different.
That's true.
Then yun nga, when they say depressed ako, don't come near me or leave me alone. I'm depressed right
Yes.
now. They actually know what you're saying when you say that you're depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah, all of us, we have periods where we become sad. Of course, when something disappointing happens to us, we're sad. But after a few days, we bounce back
Yes.
and life goes on. We move on. When you say you're depressed, that's different. Your functioning is affected. So, is it longer now for 2 weeks? You're not bathing. Hindi ka na nagtutoothbrush, that kind of thing. Are you isolating yourself? You have difficulty sleeping? Is your
Yeah.
appetite affected? So that could be already a depression.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
right.
So yes. So there are certain things that I like about it because it's opening up to terms, to your feelings. They're more in touch. They're more aware of what's happening to them. But the usage of the words could also be extreme. They could
Yeah.
mean a totally different thing. Yeah. So again, it's good, but at the same time, there are parts of it that's not so good. Yeah.
Yeah, yan yung mga pitfalls. Ngayon, Dr. Charm, what happens naman when a person internalizes these words and these diagnoses na sa internet lang nakuha? Because the internet is So there, lalo na ngayon, no, may role ba to? May role ba dito ang placebo effect?
Well, that in itself, yes, it has, because, like, for example, it shows naman in studies, especially studies with dealing with depression, with major
Yes.
depressive disorder. About 1/3 of that would have a placebo effect. Even if
Mm.
you're just being given a placebo, you feel okay. You feel,
Yes.
yeah. So that there will always be that connotation. But the thing is, we have what we call Dr. Google.
Yes.
Some patients will come, Doctor, na-google ko na and
Oo,
ito
alam
daw,
na.
yan, that kind of thing. Still, the best part is, if you know that there's something wrong, you feel that there's something wrong with you, maybe not even wrong, you feel that there is something that makes you uncomfortable with
Yes.
yourself. This is new to me, bago to. Dati hindi ko to nararamdaman. Now, I'm feeling it now. So please consult not even a psychiatrist, but a professional.
Yes.
Because again, there are some who would think that psychiatrists are only for those na, they're crazy, or it's a problem that's already very severe or very worse, might not be comfortable going to a psychiatrist. But still, a professional could be a psychologist.
Yes.
Could be a
That's right.
counselor,
That's
but
right.
the important thing there is that you be seen and diagnosed by a professional.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
important, guys. So it's okay. We're not saying that it's bawal, no? Kasi nandun naman siya eh. All we're saying is verify it.
Yeah.
And if you actually feel something different,
Mhm.
please do seek consult
Yes.
with a professional pa.
Yeah.
Okay, Doctora, aside from therapizing on oneself because of the things a person sees on social media and on the internet in general, yung mga quotes, kasi minsan nakakatama sa akin. Possible rin for a person to extend this pa to others. As in, they come from a good place, but they tend to diagnose others kahit wala naman silang reliable basis. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's like, eto naramdaman ko, baka ganyan ka din.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Again, always a professional should be there.
Yeah.
Maybe you yourself, you are observing something that's different with the other person, and it's okay to call the attention of the other person. Hey, and it's like this. Hey, I'm observing before you seem to be so bubbly, but now you're like so
Yeah.
quiet. Is there something going on? And it's okay if, like, for example, your friend wouldn't want to talk to you about it, and then you suggest, would you like to seek professional help? They
Yes.
might be able to help you. If you feel that you're not able to open up, properly to your relatives or to your friends, maybe a professional will be able to help you with that.
That's true.
Yes.
And that's when the stigma breaks.
Yes.
Kasi up to now, pero sabi nga ni Doktora, it has lessened, which is good. But still, stigma starts kasi when you keep things, diba? And start, diagnosing. Now, off the top of your head, Dr. Charm, what words related to mental health or mental wellness do you wish people would stop using so carelessly?
Yeah. Number 1 would be depressed ako. Number 2, bipolar ako.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yan tayo
Yeah, those are not the top 2 things. And number 3 actually is yun nga, the antisocial word.
Yes.
Don't come near me. Ikaw talaga antisocial ka. Ayaw mo
Oo.
makipag-usap sa iba. Yeah. So those are the top 3 that from the top of my head that I could think of.
Yes, because kasi kawawa naman, Doktora, kasi yung talagang may diagnosis na ganun.
Yes.
So that's the whole point. So guys, tandaan natin yan. Okay, let's go to social media. Social media can really be a good place to learn and widen a person's perspective. But in the topic of mental wellness, how can people be more mindful in consuming free information?
That's the point. In social media, yes, you're perfectly right there. But there are some, I'm not saying everything, but there are some that are outliers wherein they use social media as a platform to rant. Or to say things that it's coming from their own experiences, but then it's like a generalization.
True.
This happened to me, so it's supposed to be when this happens to you and this person's behaving this way, it's like this.
Yeah.
Without really consulting experts.
Right.
Yeah. So my advice is actually, please discern. If the
That's it.
information, if the information that you're reading off the net is actually, has basis or not. it's very easy to search for scientific literature in the internet.
Yes.
You could go to websites that are actually official websites. We have the website of the bipolar disorder,
Support groups rin to, Doctora, right?
not only support groups, but the actual, the actual
content.
association. Yeah. So we have that. They have information there. You could go to, the NIMH, the National Institute for Mental Health. They have all of the information there so that you could be properly guided. Another would be the Mayo Clinic,
Yes.
So yeah. So at least when you hear that from media, hey, you guys media, it's already in the internet. You're already on the internet. So just a few more typing on the Google, then you could go to this official website. So
Right.
you could compare.
Yeah.
That it's not all like that, because sometimes those things that would come out, TikTok or vlogging or anything, comes from experiences, and usually they're rants. It's a
Yeah,
rant.
true.
Yeah.
And
So
uso yan, Doktora, ngayon, mga rants.
yes, and another, of course, is, well, this is what I tell, me and my friends would discuss this before, during my time, and it's it's a little bit way back, okay?
Mhm.
What we're saying is that when bullying happens, it's like harapan,
Yeah.
you're courageous because you're bullying, and that person you're being bullied knows who's bullying them. But now social media is actually being used as a cover
Yes,
for
that's
bullying,
right.
cyberbullying, so
That's right.
if the victim really doesn't know where it's coming from and who's bullying, so the social media actually could be used as a cover for that. And of
Oh.
course, when the bullying happens, there's the victim. Of course, anything, and the bullying the victim can be depressed, could be anxious,
Yes.
won't go to school anymore, grades are going down, and the parents really know what's happening.
Yeah.
And even the victim, when the parents would discover, and who's bullying you, I don't know,
Yeah,
because
'cause
yes,
it's
because
hidden.
the identity, it's hidden. Yeah, unlike before, it's like you're face to face. You're bullying me.
That's true.
Yeah. Now the social media is a way being used as a cover for it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, in the same line, how can a person help naman in effectively advancing the discussion on mental wellness, resulting in helping more people?
What we're doing right now is already advancing
Yes.
it. Yeah, so that's very good. A lot more education, a lot more. Maybe we have it in some other hospitals wherein they visit schools, and they give a
Right.
talk.
Mhm.
Those kinds of things. Also very important when it comes to that age group. But I understand the load, because usually it's a lot of students, and
Yeah.
there's like one or two guidance counselors.
True.
If they would be able to spot, if they're like,
Yeah.
for example, it's patterns. Before, this student is high achieving,
Yes.
and then this semester it's like, hey, failing,
Yeah.
so something happened,
Mhm.
consistently would have high grades and everything now. So if they would be more alert to those kinds of, those are subtle signs, and not only in school, like for example in work.
Yes.
Before, always on time, would give the deadlines would be achieved, quality A++ work, and
Mhm.
then now absent or late, and then misses deadlines, makes mistakes. So it's a drastic change. So there might be
Oh.
something going on. Yeah. So if employers, or again, they have HR,
Yes.
yeah, if they could call the attention and sit down the employee or the student and say, hey, these are your grades before, this is your work before. Right now, it's not good. What's happening? Maybe
Then
just
that
sitting down with them.
conversation will really matter.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so it's a matter of being aware and alert with what's going on. Maybe the superiors or the teachers would be able to detect that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the key word there is spotting patterns.
Yes.
Because parang may sudden change. Now, basically, this segment was centered on this landscape of the internet. On our next segment, let's venture out and talk about what help is truly available for us out there. Here, Dr. Charm will also give us an in-depth background of Makati Med's newest center, Kaka-Proud, the Esketamine Care Center, which is the first of its kind here in the Philippines. Whether we acknowledge it or not, all of us can be very resilient emotionally and mentally. For instance, once the going gets rough, we tend to turn into our own coping mechanisms. And iba-iba yan. My first question for Dr. Charm, when are coping mechanisms healthy? And when are they doing more? Teka, i-rephrase. When are coping mechanisms healthy and when can they become harmful?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. It's like this. Coping mechanisms, there are two ways about
Mhm.
it. One is avoidance.
Yeah.
Number one is approach. Okay. Now, if you think about it, avoidance, maybe not. Maybe approach is better. You approach what is stressing you out because that is usually the trigger. The trigger. The thing is, avoidance coping mechanisms also play a role,
Yeah.
especially in the initial part. For
Mhm.
example, it's a very traumatic incident that happened to you.
Yeah.
You got mugged. Somebody tinutukan ka, there was a knife and you had to give up all of your belongings. That is very traumatic.
Right.
Okay? At the start, people would tend to, because of the shock, maybe not say anything about it.
Yeah.
Maybe keep it to themselves, process it a little bit more. So in a way, you're avoiding. You're
Mhm.
avoiding you are coping by avoiding anything related to that incident. You don't want to think about it first. You don't want to deal with it. You just want to rest. You're still in shock and everything. But at a certain point, when you continue to avoid and not approach or not deal with the situation,
Mhm.
with the stressors, then it could actually progress to PTSD,
Right.
post-traumatic stress disorder. You're just keeping it in. People will just people will just find you, just staring blankly into space, maybe just crying, if
Yeah.
you see a knife or something like that. So in a way, at the start, it's helpful, but later on, it becomes detrimental to you.
Right.
So after that, when you approach it, you want to to talk about it with your friends. You want to
Yes.
talk it with family members and everything. You're dealing with it in your own way.
Mhm.
You sought professional help with it. You are in therapy for it. Then that is an adequate coping strategy.
Right.
But not all coping strategies at the start, if you approach it, might be too overwhelming for you.
Yeah.
So for me, there is yes, coping mechanisms at certain points in time when applied to your experiences would be beneficial for you.
Mhm.
But maybe at certain points in time also applied to your experiences might be detrimental to you. So I think it's the timing of the coping mechanisms.
It's a timing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That
Mhm.
makes a difference. Pero eventually, doktora, you have to face it, di ba?
Yeah.
So no
So
matter.
avoidance at the start and then facing it or approaching it, at after
Mhm.
the initial phase, then you need to approach it because hey, you have to learn from it. Again,
Yes.
life goes on, life moves on.
Agree.
You have to make sure that these kinds of things, the least amount of risk that it will happen to you in the future. We cannot avoid it 100%. There's no such thing. It will still come, but at least now you know how to deal with it in the future.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's the lessons behind it. Now, is coping and escaping roughly the same?
No, yeah. Escaping is like, avoiding and then just continue avoiding it and avoiding it and avoiding
Para
it.
palayo na palayo yun.
Yeah, and then
doktora.
at a certain point in time in the future, you're just suddenly anxious. You're just suddenly depressed. You're just suddenly, so avoidant that you don't know why. Yung pala, it's the incident that happened like years and years before. Yes, again, might lead into post-traumatic stress disorder. So we don't want that to happen as much as
Mhm.
possible. And then escaping, you're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
So if you don't deal with it, how will you learn?
Yeah.
You might be avoiding painful emotions at the start, but if you don't want to deal with it, when are you going to deal with it?
Yeah.
Because it will always be there. So what my description there is that it's like you put it in a little box.
Yes.
And then you put it in your closet. Problem is, all that closet will be filled up with boxes. And at a
Yes.
certain point, it will just spill over. And when spill over, oh my God, it's like a tidal wave. You might not be
Yeah.
able to handle it at the end when it all spills over.
So it's two different mechanisms.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Doctora, what are the telling signs that a person already needs professional help? Although we discussed this earlier,
Mhm.
so things won't get worse down the line. So parang sabi mo nga, sometimes we find ourselves anxious, we don't know why. How can we tell?
Well, of course, anxiety, an example is anxiety. All of us will experience anxiety. Taking an exam, speaking in front of a crowd. Of course, it will
Yes.
make you anxious. The thing is, when it differentiates normal anxiety from a disorder
Mhm.
when your functioning is already affected.
Right.
you're supposed to take an exam. My head is aching. I can't go. I'm just going to hear. I just take the exam later date. If you're about to speak, my tummy's not good. I can't go through with it.
Yeah.
Functioning is affected. I'm going to go to the grocery, but I'm feeling so anxious. I won't go to the grocery. Just, so
Yes.
it's like that. So if your functioning is affected, it becomes a disorder.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it all boils down to quality of life, Doctor.
Yes, it's the functioning, it's the
Functioning
quality.
also.
Yes, the quality of life, the functioning of an individual. Your symptoms might be not there anymore.
Mhm.
You might be in remission. You might be okay. But if you're not able to go back to the things that you need to do
Yeah.
for you, the things that you love doing before, so you're not functioning. And functioning is a
Oh.
big part. Yeah. Mhm.
Interesting
It's
talaga.
that's the thing. As we have medications, like for example our antidepressants
Yes.
and all of these psychiatric medications. So our concept of recovery is actually also, of course, our medications it's like having an upgrade. Before, there are a lot of side effects, and then there are no side effects, and it's getting better and better. Our definition of you getting better, or
Yes.
that we are seeing the results, is actually also evolving. So in the 1970s, it was enough for our patients to have a response. Response is like 50% decrease of your symptoms. So when you take a medication, there is a response. That's okay.
Yes.
That's in the 70s. In the 80s, it was actually remission. As long as you didn't have symptoms, they consider you okay. Problem is, they might just be at home. They're not working.
Oo
Family
nga.
members, that kind of thing. So for them, for the 80s, it was okay. But in the 90s, it was not okay anymore. Still, there would be improvement in the medications, but also there's an evolution with regards to our concept of what is a functioning individual. So
Right.
at the time, it was functioning. So patient able to take care of themselves, they're not a burden to the
Function
family,
talaga,
yon.
no?
Now, in the 2000s, it's now much more a refined version.
Mhm.
We call it functional recovery. It's not only enough that the patient is able to take care of himself,
Mhm.
but has a family, productive, working,
Right.
productive member of society. So those kinds of things. So it's also evolving. So I actually like my favorite is actually the definition right now, which is functional
Yes,
recovery.
that's true.
Yeah.
Parang they start getting a life,
Yes.
so to speak. No?
Yes.
So, Doctora, what are their options and where do you recommend they start? So
Okay.
let's say consult. Ayan.
Yeah. Usually, it's like this. They don't want to see a psychiatrist, so they go to a psychologist.
Yes.
The problem is, they would say, would it be okay just talking sessions? We just talk and
Oh,
everything.
totoo
Yeah.
yan.
Problem is, like, for example, if the patient is so anxious or the patient is so depressed, concentration is out of the window.
Yes.
And when you do talking sessions, especially psychotherapy, you need, like this, you need to
Yes.
focus, you need to concentrate. So how would the talking sessions be effective if your concentration is out?
That's right.
So we need the medications to stabilize you so that you could concentrate and talking sessions will proceed.
Right.
So that's the thing. So usually that is what the psychologist would say. And then say, go first to see a psychiatrist, and get medications. Then so once you're stable, then you go back, then we resume talking sessions. So that is how we, sometimes the patients would come into us.
Right.
Others would be like really direct.
Yes.
And actually that's the beauty of practicing here in the Philippines as compared to other countries. This is just me. Okay, why? Because in other countries, Western countries, you will need to go through a family physician first or a general practitioner. They would give you the medications and then schedule you for psychiatrists.
Yes.
Would take roughly 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Here, you're able to go to your specialist immediately. So we
Right.
would be able to see you, that kind of thing. Now, the thing is, of course, when they come to us, then usually it's traditional. Traditional is antidepressants. We give antidepressants. The problem with antidepressants, with all antidepressants, is that takes 2 weeks before you initially start getting better. It's not like
Not
antibiotics.
immediate.
Yeah, not like antibiotics that after 2 weeks, hey, you're good. No, it's nothing like that. After 2 weeks, that is when you start feeling better. And the keyword there is start feeling better.
Start pa
Yeah,
lang yan,
start
Doctor.
start pa lang. So imagine that 2 weeks, no? So and all antidepressants are like that, Now it becomes a problem when we have suicidal ideations.
Yes.
Yes, when suicidal ideations, suicide for us, ideations or plans or anything
Yes.
self-harm, we consider those as psychiatric emergencies. Emergencies, immediately it's in the ER.
Yeah.
And in the ER, you will be admitted
Mhm.
because your safety is a concern here.
That's right.
Now, there are some, kasi nga, it's 2 weeks, traditional. We give 2 weeks and 2 weeks worth of medications and everything. And they don't want to be admitted. That's a problem eh.
Oo
You know,
nga. Paano yun,
yeah.
Doktora?
So, it's like basketball. It's like you have Kobe Bryant with you 24/7. You will not be left alone.
Yeah.
So imagine the time it takes away from productivity for your relative or your caregiver, or if they hire a caregiver for you, of course the logistics of it, the finances of it, and everything, and for the patient,
Right.
for 2 weeks, it's like that. There are a lot of things going on, not able to function also. So that is also a concern for us. So usually what happens is that we admit, or if not, of course, waiver and everything, and 24/7 bantay, or there should be someone with him or her at all times.
Right.
Then we add some medications to help.
Yeah.
The other medications could shorten it to the thoughts, not the depression, but rather the thoughts, to like 4 days.
Yeah.
So, or some would actually just give the patients, heavy medications to sleep, because I'd rather that the patient sleep and do nothing, or awake, and then suddenly would just jump or hurt, or
Yeah.
or overdose or something like that. So usually that is the concern. So, but still, it is antidepressants, very traditional, and 2 weeks is the waiting game.
Waiting game and 2
Yeah.
weeks. By the way, we work hand in hand with the Department of Psychiatry here in the Wellness Center and in Araneta Care Access, because we also have psychologists who go on duty, plus testing, and counseling, etc. So check it out. So it is no secret that certain medications are given to help patients when it comes to their mental wellness. What happens then when meds don't work? Diba? May
Okay.
ganon, Doktora, diba?
Yeah.
Or when it progresses and it starts to become treatment-resistant depression.
Mhm.
So, Doktora, what are there really cases of treatment-resistant depression?
This is what I'm going to tell you. In studies, and this has always come out, scientific literature and everything, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Mhm.
1/3, when you give antidepressants, they will respond.
Yeah.
1/3, partial response. They will respond, and then it will plateau. No more efficacy, or no more improvement in their symptoms. Okay, and then the 1/3, even if you give different classes of antidepressants, will not work. So immediately
Talagang
there's
wala.
always that 1/3 there. So it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So in Makati Med, as you mentioned a while ago, we actually now have a new medication, quite excited about it, that actually could address that particular 1/3, even the 1/3 of the partial responders, the 1/3 of the treatment-resistant depression.
Right.
We are able to define that patient already has treatment-resistant depression if that patient actually has been on 2 adequate treatment regimens of 2 different classes of antidepressants. We have different classes of
Right.
antidepressants. If still there is no significant improvement in the symptoms, or if the symptoms are like that, or maybe symptoms are getting worse,
Yes.
then they would be candidate for our esketamine trial. Another condition that's actually for the esketamine is the imminent suicidal ideations. If the patient really already has a plan, already would want to attempt, to have a suicide attempt, then those are the things that could be that we could administer esketamine to.
Yeah.
And as far as we have seen, significant improvement in their symptoms.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's progress.
Yeah.
Kasi
And yeah.
Go ahead, Doktora.
Yeah. And the beauty here is that for antidepressants, always oral. It's a
Yes.
tablet. You take it, and then it builds inside you, and then 2 weeks. Here, it's through the nose. It's intranasal. We spray it. So our nose is very vascular.
Yes.
When somebody just nudges it or something, it bleeds. So there's a lot of blood vessels there.
Yes.
So I think the esketamine utilizes that in order to get to the target organ, which is
Right.
the brain. Yeah. So as early as quickly, not as early, as quickly as 2 hours, we actually see improvement. So we, of course, the most minimum monitoring for the drug company that introduced this medication is actually blood pressure, because that is the side effect. Yeah, it increases the blood pressure. But knowing me, and I'm very inquisitive about things, so I wanted also to monitor the symptoms of depression,
Yes.
the symptoms of suicide, the suicidal ideations, to see how the medication affects it.
Yeah.
So, like for example, baseline, just before administration of the medication, the depression score is 20, which is equivalent to moderate depression. Patient is already not eating, patient is not sleeping, concentration is bad, having some thoughts of death,
Yeah.
very, very sad, not going out of the room. So functioning is already affected. From 20, after 2 hours, it actually becomes 0.
Galing.
Yeah, so no symptoms of depression. We also had, another client on the verge of suicide, and then we administered it. By the end of 2 hours, no suicidal thoughts. So it's that fast, and it is sustained. So when they come back for the next session and the next, it doesn't go up to the baseline again. No, the result that we have at the end of the session is maintained when the patient starts the next session. So it's continuous.
And you screen naman, Doktora, yung...
Yes. It's
those
only
who-
for those two indications for now. But I know that in the States or, abroad, they are already studying it for other uses, for other psychiatric conditions. So we
Right.
will see. Yeah.
Nice. So most of the time, some people want to seek professional help na talaga, but their options tend to be limited. So in such cases, what are a person's next best options in the meantime?
Okay, yeah. Well, we have the esketamine. Others would be a short stay in the hospital, and of course, also administration of other medications, not only an antidepressant.
Yeah.
So we have that.
Okay, so knowing your options is a giant step. Really, super thank you, Dr. Charm, for outlining all these things. Our question and answer segment comes next. If you have more questions you'd like to ask Dr. Charm, eto na ang chance niyo. So just type them in the comment section. And for now, here's a walkthrough at Makati Med's latest Esketamine Care Center.
So, you've been advised to take esketamine Spravato. What should you expect? Prior to the appointment, you will be advised to, first, avoid food 2 hours before the appointment. Second, avoid drinks 30 minutes prior. Third, avoid nasal corticosteroids or decongestants 1 hour before. And fourth, to make travel arrangements to and from the appointment. Treatment with esketamine Spravato takes place in a quiet room where you will be monitored by healthcare providers before, during, and after administration. A healthcare professional will ask a few questions to make sure that you are ready for your Spravato treatment. Contraindications are the following: hypersensitivity to ketamine and any of the other excipients, aneurysmal vascular disease, a history of intracerebral hemorrhage, a cardiovascular event including myocardial infarction within 6 weeks, and that you are not pregnant or breastfeeding. After the interview, a pre-dose blood pressure will be checked. Make sure to blow your nose prior to administration. Esketamine Spravato is administered by inhaling 1 spray in each nostril per device while in a semi-reclined or 45-degree position. The other nostril should be covered during each administration, and a 5-minute rest period between each device is observed. 1 to 3 devices are used depending on the dose required. After your esketamine Spravato dose, you may experience psychological effects that may be alarming to you, such as dissociative and perceptual changes. This may manifest as impaired attention, judgment, thinking, reaction speed, and motor skills. Rest assured, these are transient and typically resolve within 2 hours after administration. You may also experience dizziness, nausea, vomiting, sedation, headache, changes in taste, numbness or abnormal sensations, vertigo, anxiety, and elevations in blood pressure. Most of these are mild to moderate in severity and resolve within the same day. Please do not hesitate to inform the medical team for any other symptoms you may experience. At the end of the time period, your blood pressure will be taken again. Prior to discharge, a healthcare provider will check on you again and ensure that you are comfortable and ready to go home. And that ends our Makati Medical Center esketamine experience. Have a great day.
So that's what happens in an appointment at Makati Med's Esketamine Care Center. It just opened. It was just blessed yesterday. So talagang it's another remarkable achievement of Makati Medical Center. And if you have anything else you'd like to know about this, just anything related to mental wellness, just send them in now. And let's start off now our question and answer portion with Dr. Charm. Now, earlier kasi, well, we posted the announcement weeks ago. Meron na nagtanong, Doctora, this is from Enzo Mendoza. Some say going to therapy should be treated similarly to going to the dentist. What are your thoughts on this po?
Okay.
Parang regular visit yata si ang...
Yeah,
sabi ni
I
Enzo.
was thinking, you go to your dentist to have regularly that your teeth are checked, make sure that everything's okay,
Yeah.
make sure that everything is functioning well.
Yes.
Therapy, in a way, also is like that.
Mhm.
Okay. But the difference here is that some people use therapy whenever there is a crisis that comes
Yes.
along.
Mhm.
No, because what happens there is that you only talk about the crisis.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a toothache and that's the time that you go to the dentist. It shouldn't be that way. Best is you go to your therapist regularly, even if there is no crisis. Why? Because that is the time that you get to talk about what happens with
Yeah.
you, how you respond. You're not only just focused on the crisis that's going on. So yeah, it's like a car tune up. It's a tune up.
Yeah.
Just make sure that everything's okay. So yes, yeah.
Ayan na, Enzo. So, galing. Kasi there's no health without mental health.
Mm.
Now, from Ella Antonio, ano po ang mga unsuspecting habits from everyday life na telling signs na pala na you might be struggling from a mental health condition?
You feel more tired than usual, mas pagod ka, Another is, irritable ka, hindi mo alam bakit. Pagising mo pa lang, ba't ganon? I snap easily. And
Yeah.
I have patients who, Doctora, I just caught myself. I suddenly just snapped. I really don't know. It wasn't like that before. That's not my usual.
Mhm.
So any deviation from what you consider as your usual, again, if you feel uncomfortable, then that is most probably your body telling you that something is wrong. Before you're able to sleep well. Now, hey, I wake up at 4. I'm like the alarm clock of all of the roosters in the neighborhood. I
Yeah.
wake them all up. So those kinds of things. So any changes in your appetite, any changes, as I've said, any changes in the way that you deal with friends, with your family. Ba't
Right.
pa ang irritable mo ngayon? Dati di ka naman ganyan. No. So for me, those are important signs.
Right. Doctor, I have a question. What's your take naman sa this saying? Actually, it's a stigma. Yung mga nagtitake ng meds. Oh, addicting yan. Pag
Mm.
nagme-meds ka, you're at the worst stage na. How can we bust that that myth na taking medications is okay?
Yeah. Mhm. Well, there are 2 ways to go about it, and both of them are okay.
Mhm.
Number 1, my doctor will not prescribe me medications if they don't think that I need it.
Mhm.
And right now, I need it because why? My functioning is already affected.
Right.
Number 2, well, if it's addicting, then we have medication. We have patients who are on maintenance because of essential hypertension. We have patients who are on maintenance because of asthma,
Mhm.
because of diabetes. So it's the same. We need the medications to help control the symptoms, to help treat the symptoms so that I will be functional. So
Right.
that is how we answered it. It's not addicting because they again, as patients, you're bringing up a very important point too. As patients, they have every right. They have to exhaust all of their time with their psychiatrist and ask them these pertinent questions. Ask your psychiatrist your fears. And your
Yeah, that's
psychiatrist should
true.
be able to answer them for you.
That's
For
true.
me, actually, I tell my patients, hey, you're taking a medication, Google it. I actually encourage them to Google it. Why? Because you're taking it, not me.
Yeah.
Now, if you have any questions regarding it, write it down. I'll answer them for you the next time. So that is what I tell my patients. So it's very transparent. It's very clear.
Yeah.
The patient will not feel that the doctor is hiding anything, and the doctor is there and open. And hey, you can answer. You can ask these questions, and I'll answer them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Doctora, do you think, kasi the pandemic has brought out a lot of uh, uh, mental health
Mm.
issues.
Mhm.
In your practice, what are the top 3 cases that you see?
Depression, anxiety, and actually bipolar.
New cases ba to, Doctora? Or
New, yes. Well, I think my friends and I were talking about it. I think it's a zombie apocalypse for psychiatrists all over.
Oo nga.
Yeah. For me, I actually can put a month to it and a year to it, starting October 2021. It's like the
Talaga.
floodgates opened. Before, my waiting time
Mhm.
would be about a month,
Yeah.
3 weeks to a month. Right now, my next availability is ready December 11th.
Hala.
I know. And it's like, they're here. So it's like, and I don't think it's only me. All of my colleagues are like this. It's like we're really swamped. So yeah, mental health. Because if you think about it, in the pandemic, you're in survival mode. Everybody was.
Yes.
How am I going to survive this? This is the first time this virus is here. Oh,
Yes.
hand washing down. Oh, mask down. Everybody was so focused on
Right.
that. And then everything closed down.
Yeah.
So you're like in a small cocoon. It's your family and you. So, hey, you guys know each other and everything. That's okay. But when the world started opening up, and sometimes they open and then they close again. They open, they close. But by 2021, it's opening and still opening. There's no
Yes.
closing anymore. Then the difficulty adjusting back. It's not as simple as, no, I was doing before, I'll just do it again. No. Why? Because you have a new variable, it's the virus.
Yes.
And there are some, important persons in your life before that maybe was a target and didn't
Yeah.
survive the virus.
Yeah.
Or maybe, the elderly, before I didn't have diabetes, now I have diabetes, and they say that the virus is bad for diabetes. What will happen to me?
Yeah.
So there is that factor there. So I think it's a difficulty adjusting back,
Adjustment problem.
and dealing with the virus at the same time,
Right.
a variable that wasn't there before, but now it's here.
And
Yeah.
zombie apocalypse talaga.
Yeah. It's like,
Okay. Now
they're
we have
here.
they're here. Now we have a question from Muammar Hilay. Nakakainis na feeling na ang bilis ko umiyak, even simple things. Your thoughts po?
There are a lot of things that could be happening to you. That's why you're having that. And for me, I am relieved that you recognize that you have this and this is not happening to you before. Bilis mainis, even with simple things. That is for me a big red flag. Please consult a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Yun. Pero, Doktora, you said nga that we all know that you're only 600 licensed psychiatrists
Mhm.
sa whole Philippines. In the interim, what can we do to help?
Mhm.
Like people like Muammar Hilay who has to wait. Can we do, I think counseling can help.
Counseling can help. And if the thoughts get overwhelming,
Mhm.
if you feel already that you're losing control, because anything can happen when you lose control, please go to the emergency room immediately.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're going to be admitted, but it means that you are in a safe environment where there are professionals that could attend to you and help you.
Doktora, any
Yeah.
support groups that?
Oh, yes, the Mood Harmony.
Yes.
We have it here in Makati Med. Again, the first. Yeah.
Yes, Mood Harmony is very active.
Yes. Support groups, again, in social media, there are a lot of support groups. That, again, is another caveat. For me, support groups are okay, but it could also be an avenue just for rants and raves. You
Yes.
rant and everything.
Is
So
that advisable, Doktora?
for me, support group is okay if there is a professional manning it, monitoring it.
Okay.
Like in our support group here in Makati Med, we have a psychologist
Yes.
who's always there, and just supervising. Of course, anything that happens in the support group stays in the support group. But
It's
very
on
important, there is somebody who's monitoring everything, making sure that everybody's heard, and making sure things they don't go out of hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doktora, what's your advice naman to people who are taking care of someone with a mental health diagnosis?
Pace yourself. Number one, everything in moderation, and please establish a routine. You need self-care. You need to have a time where you're able to take care of your own needs. Whether it's just relaxing, reading a book, staring out into the sky, having muni-muni, as long as it's your alone time, your me time. For me, that's very important. Self-care is very important.
Yeah, that's very important. Kasi
Yeah.
doktora, dito sa Philippines, diba, we have this culture na pag caregiver ka, dapat 24/7 ka.
Yes, that is so not possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So caring for the carers is very important. Wow, that was a full 1 hour. And thank you everyone for your questions. We hope we were able to answer them well. And things up, Dr. Charm, is there anything you want to emphasize or parting words? But I'll see you again.
Yeah. Always there is hope. You know,
Yeah,
habang
true.
may buhay, may pag-asa. And at the Makati Medical Center section of psychiatry, we will do everything that we can in order to help all of you that will seek our help. Okay, but
Naku.
very important is that we can only help those who want to help themselves. So please, you know, always there is hope. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Charm. So, well, that's about it for today's podcast, everyone. So, see you on our next episode. Please do follow our official Facebook page and Twitter page at I am Makati Med to get the latest updates from Makati Med, and visit our website at www.makatimed.net.ph. So, goodbye and take care of your mental health. Self-care is key. Bye-bye.